Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk Tri-State with Tiny and Katy.
Let's talk Tri-State.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Tri-State, powered by Home Right Windows and Doors in Waynesboro, the right choice, winner in the 2024 Best of the Tri-State Award.
Speaking of Best of the Tri-State Award, we have with us Heidi Shadle from Iron Valley Real Estate, and you were voted Best Realtor in the Tri-State.
I was.
Was
Thank
it
you.
this past year?
3 years in a row.
Whoa, so you're
Make sure you
doing
get that right.
you're doing something right.
Yeah.
How did you get into real estate?
It was actually a friend that suggested that I work with them, and the rest is history.
And are you from this area?
I am born and raised in Franklin County.
And then are you licensed to sell in Pennsylvania and
Pennsylvania and Maryland, yes.
Okay, awesome.
How long have you been doing real estate?
This will be my 8th year.
Yeah, that's great. I have a lot of personal questions I want to ask you
Sure.
about the housing market, but first, before I get to that, what I think everybody, the housing market's been so, up and down here lately. How is it looking now?
Don't listen to the news. It's actually doing very well. If you are investing, making sure that you cross your T's, dot your I's, having a plan. Cash is always king, so make sure that you're saving. You will certainly find something that works for you.
Unless you have to finance, the better.
Correct.
As with anything. But
Yes.
so Katie and I were, knowing that we had you coming in as of last week, we were talking about things to ask, and with having you come in, and I said, well, what I find interesting is that even though interest rates finally, after all this time, were cut a bit, interest rates still are considerably higher than they were just 4 years ago.
Sure.
Obviously, I know we were dealing with COVID, and that tanked the interest rates and essentially brought the market to a halt. But I know you just said don't let the news fool you. You are having people who are still wanting a house so bad that even at interest rates, what are they even now? Just over
Around 6%.
Okay, I was going to say just over 5. They're just still high, realistically. Are you still having people who are knocking on the door saying, you know what, I'm ready to go?
Absolutely. If you're renting, it's 100% interest.
Yeah.
So definitely investing in your own future. You always get your money back out of it. Well, most of the time you get your money back out of it. So yeah, it's very important to invest in yourself.
And what are you finding is the most challenging part with people that you have coming wanting to, is it the buying that's challenging or is it the selling that's challenging?
I would say more so the buying. The selling end of it, usually people are born and raised here and they don't leave much. So we have a lot of older people maybe moving into estate care, like nursing homes, different things like that. So they just haven't did a lot of updates. Everybody wants the move-in ready, white paint,
Sure.
ready to go. But if you actually are smart about it and you're ready to accept the challenge, there are ways to get into the house and do that yourself.
So let me tell you what my position is, and you tell me what advice you would have for me, because I like free advice, if that's okay.
Not just free
Absolutely.
advice,
Yeah.
free anything.
This is what we do every time when somebody comes in. I say, well, let me tell you about my situation. What
Right.
would you advise me to do? I'm not a first-time homeowner, home buyer. I own a house in Virginia, and then when I came back to the radio station about a year and a half ago, I now rent my house out. And then I'm currently renting here in the area. And it's really difficult for me to be renting when I am a homeowner. There's something that's really difficult about that.
Right.
And so I've been looking into buying, but every time I start to look, I just think I can't. It's too much.
It's defeating.
It is defeating to the point where I just kind of stopped looking, but I don't know about opportunities that maybe aren't surface level that could work in my favor.
Well, not to mention, you already had the first-time home buyer.
Exactly.
All of those incentives.
Exactly.
And now this wouldn't be first-time home buyer.
And I took a class that helped to reduce
Your interest rate, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah.
And now, again, this was in Virginia, and I know it's different from state to state.
Sure.
But is there any advice you could give me that could help me?
I'm glad you asked. There's actually a program with different local banks available. It's almost like a construction loan. So let's say that you don't like the carpet, you want to make some updates maybe in the kitchen, you're not happy with the paint. It's almost like a construction loan where they will purchase the home for you. You have 60 days to work with a licensed contractor and then you can do all that work and, you know, bring it up to your standards. Just keep an open mind whenever you're going through, you know, always looking for the good bones, and then you can make it your own.
See, that is difficult because as a single woman,
Yeah.
you know, my carpenter is this guy right here. My handyman is this guy right here.
True.
So as you're saying this, I know he's thinking, oh no,
No,
I'm
not licensed, so
No.
I'm off the hook. I
Yeah.
can't be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
So I would, if I purchased a home and I wanted to do updates, I could hire whoever to come in, do the upgrades that I would want, and there are loans that could help me
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
What would the loan be called?
I think it falls under the construction part of the.
Would this still be, because one of the bigger challenges I know for someone who's purchasing a second home, would this still require the minimum 20%
No,
down?
no.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it could be, for example, like an FHA loan, so it's only 3.5%
Oh,
down.
great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they come in, they'll appraise it, they'll estimate the work that you need to do with your licensed contractor, and then as long as all the numbers work, it's bringing up the value of the property. So then you can invest in it in that, and then you have a ton of equity because you're doing the work.
Right.
And now let me I always say when we have experts on in their field that it's up to us to ask the questions that may otherwise seem easily answered, but we should ask them anyway. With what you're describing, what she has to have done, she's on the hook for paying that part of it. So
No, the bank is
Okay.
going to lend that to you.
Okay,
Oh.
very
So
good.
you'll purchase the house just as normal, and then you have a game plan with your contractor, and then you would have 60 days to complete the renovations, and then they finance it, and you have a regular mortgage after that.
Oh my goodness.
good.
Is
Yeah.
this something that, are you taking on new clients?
Well, it's just whenever we're in the market, everybody wants that cookie cutter brand new home, and it's just not possible in some of the price ranges.
Absolutely.
So when we do find those older homes that, you know, just need a little bit of love to bring it up to date, that's definitely a great option for them. And then they have so much more equity that maybe some of the other buyers ruled out because it wasn't up to their standards. But now
I don't know if everybody I mean, this is the first time I'm ever hearing
Yeah.
about this, so maybe we can have a conversation after this and maybe take this a step
I
further.
almost feel like we shouldn't be.
I know. Yeah. I mean,
It's a
that loan doesn't
secret.
exist anymore, right? That's
Goodness.
right. What about first-time home buyers? What advice would you give to a first-time home buyer?
Stay at your position. Don't be jumping around from job to job to job. Job history is definitely one of those things that they look at. Also, keep all your documents. There's so many people that have their W-2s just MIA floating out there. So we have to order those.
Oh my goodness.
And just talk to your loan officer. That's the biggest thing is whenever you're starting is to talk to a valued loan officer that gives you a lot of information and you get a game plan together. So maybe you're not ready right now, but in 6 months, you can certainly start looking and then go from there.
I think that's really important to the loan officer. When I bought my house, I just loved him. And he, again, it was just me buying my house. So I'd really, what might seem like an obvious answer or, what might have seemed like a silly question. I don't know. I didn't know what equity was. I didn't know what any of these things meant. And so he was so wonderful and so patient with me. And he actually is still somebody that I will call if something is broken in my house and I need a handyman or I need an electrician. I'll call him and I'll say, Gary, who would you recommend in the area?
He knows a guy.
Exactly. And it was so funny when I bought my house and I was working with my realtor, again, not knowing, very ignorant, I guess you could say. I said, now, if the washer breaks, who do I call? And my realtor was like, well, you call someone and you deal with that. I said, oh, I don't call you?
You're a
She
homeowner
said,
now.
no, you have to take care of these things.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I want to call someone and they just come and take care of everything
You
for me.
can call someone,
But
and
I don't
they'll
wanna
take
pay
care
for
of
it either.
There you go.
Yeah,
Let's-
yeah.
So we're talking with Heidi Shadle with Iron Valley Real Estate, Wayne Avenue in Chambersburg. Heidi, so that we don't forget, because what typically happens is we come up to the end of the interview and we forget to go over the basics of how to contact our guest. So before I break into my next question, why don't you take us through how people can contact you?
The easiest way would be through my cell phone. We don't leave home without it. My cell phone number is 717-729-8704.
I'm going to be calling you later.
Okay. So that's the easiest way to contact me.
Very good. So we've talked a lot about buying and
Oh.
things that buyers can do. Let's take some advice for the sellers. What do you have? What are some of the common scenarios that you're seeing when it comes to selling? I know it's a hot market if you have a property to sell.
Sure.
There's typically a market for that right now. But when you have had struggles with people who are selling, what have they been and how have you gotten around that for them?
The easiest thing, honestly, is the simplest. Declutter. You're not to be living there anymore, so you're already moving. Pack that extra items up and get rid of them before you move. That way, you're not moving it twice.
So you're saying, well, that is a help to the seller, of course.
Correct.
That would also, by association, help with someone who's walking through.
Correct.
So that is that where you were going with that, or is that
It's
more?
on both ends.
Okay.
As far as almost disassociating the current owners from that property that they're at now.
What do you tell people who they want to sell? You know that ultimately or they know that it's in their best interest to sell. They have a piece of property, maybe it was willed to them, so it's, why wouldn't you? But what do you say to those people who they just keep saying no to offers, and you realize, okay, there's a deep personal connection here. Does it ever just completely kill a deal, or are people often able to just kind of move past that?
Well, of course, there's a reason why you were there to begin with. They have a goal in mind or something that needs to be done. So honestly, that doesn't happen very often. It's more so at settlement, when they're leaving, that emotional attachment comes out in that aspect.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I meant with that, but I understand once you sell it, it's not yours.
Yeah,
Get off my property, that type thing. I just mean in the lead up to things, or you're presenting offers and they're constantly kicking back and no, and they're finding a reason to.
No, that doesn't happen very often.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes if you are a buyer, maybe giving that little letter. I remember when I was buying my house, I wrote the owners a letter just saying how much I loved the home and how I would take care of it. And I don't know if it went, obviously I got the house, but
Right.
I've heard that quite a few times, that when you have so many offers coming in, what stands out, that personal touch that maybe you make with the previous owners is what can help too.
That doesn't happen very often anymore.
Oh,
either.
really? Okay.
That's kind of gone away.
Huh.
Yeah.
When I rented my house, I had a bottle of wine and a letter for the tenant. Just, welcome to my home. Take care of it.
Yeah. That's really gone away, that personal touch.
I think it's very, in general, our world has become just very transactional.
Yes.
It is, here's your money, give me my property, whatever it is, and we've lost that, long lost the Mayberry feel. The era of letter writing is,
I agree
all
with
but
you in
dead
that
and
aspect.
gone. But I think it does mean something. You look back on that. If I were selling to Katy and she wrote me a letter, I can tell you that right before I would take it and put it in a box and to look at it later, I'd correct the spelling first and correct the grammar, and then I would file it away and look back on that very fondly. I think that'd be very nice. Yeah.
Heidi, with how many real estate agents that there are, what makes you different? What makes you stand out?
Well, I like to think that being in the hometown, there's a lot of people that know me. I know that I'm part of a lot of groups giving back to the community. So whenever somebody makes a Facebook post, like looking for a real estate agent, it's like, look to your community, like who's loving on your community, sponsoring your kids. So that's very important, that you're involved with your community.
And you may have answered this question already. You grew up in Franklin County?
In St. Thomas.
Oh, wow. So you really do know the area.
Yeah.
And you live in...
I live in Edenville, so it's a little town outside of St. Thomas.
I don't know Edenville.
Yeah.
You're all about the Tuscarora area.
Yeah,
You never get far
Well,
from it, which is great.
That's
Right.
where I was actually looking at some real estate, was in Mercersburg. 'Cause
Yeah.
I just love that I love the small town feel. There's just something so magical about it.
And then those mountains right now, they look like a bunch of Skittles.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and so you may be. We had the Tuscarora Chamber on just a little bit ago, and she was unable to answer this question because it wasn't, of course, in her area of expertise. But it may be yours. Is there any planned communities? Are there any planned communities coming to the Tuscarora area in general?
Well, we have one just off of, I don't know if you're familiar with the Hade Road. There's a builder back in there building some very nice homes. So they're going very quickly.
And you need to have your sign planted
Yeah.
in each of them, right? So we haven't talked, and only share what you're willing to, obviously. But are you married? Do you have kids?
Yeah. I've been married for almost 20 years. I have 3 boys, so they keep me very busy.
Oh, I'm
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
What do you find? So we've talked about selling, we've talked about buying. Let's talk about some folks who may be looking for a career in real estate. What have you found to be the most challenging thing as far as getting into real estate, and something that you wish you would have known, say, day one?
Just being top of mind. There's so many real estate agents out there. Just being top of mind, that whenever somebody thinks of buying or selling, that they give you a call first.
And how did you do that? Because that
Getting
has happened
involved.
for you.
Yeah, getting involved in the community. I am part of a couple Jeep groups, so you probably see us at the parades.
Yeah.
Jeep groups.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Katy was going to join because she thought you said cheap group.
no, Jeeps are anything but cheap.
Right, that's true.
Yeah, that's
Very
the
true.
complete
If they
opposite.
are, you don't want anything to do with it.
I think I've seen them in the Green
Yeah.
Castle parade.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I do remember.
I normally have my little French bulldogs hanging out the window.
There you go.
How many do you have?
2.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
Frenchies.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, he usually is dressed up as Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus.
I remember that
Yeah.
actually from this past year. I do
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah.
Typically, we're announcing the parade, so
Right.
we don't get to see too much. We're always thinking 3 units ahead
Right.
and trying to look out. So with the top of mind, what have you found? Is it? I know real estate is very referral
Yes.
based,
Yeah.
but in the absence of that, have you found that there is an avenue of advertising for you that has been more beneficial than another?
Radio has been a great stepping stone for me as well. Even though they may not be listening, but they are listening. So it's just
Passive.
repeating that information, letting them know what is available.
Mm-hmm.
And do you work with family, or do you have a line where you say, okay, I'm going to put you off on someone else because I don't want to work
No.
with family? You work with the family?
Of course,
Good.
yeah,
Good.
yeah.
They're probably some of your best customers.
Or
Some of you are more challenging. So tell me about your aunt. She was a real pain, I understand.
It's actually my husband.
Okay. Sometimes you might want to
Fair
get him a different house.
Well, Heidi, thank you so much for taking time to speak with us today. One more time, throw out your phone number or website and how people can reach you if they need some assistance with real estate.
Sure. My telephone number is 717-729-8704.
Great.
Thank
And
you,
then
Heidi.
coming up, we're going to take another look at news and sports, and it is all powered by Veritas Men's Health in Hagerstown. Telehealth available. You can find them online at veritasmenshealth.com.
If you'd like to be featured on an upcoming episode of Let's Talk Tri-State, call 717-597-9200 or email letstalk@921thegoat.com.